New information emerging from that massive Home Depot data breach. Federal security agencies are reporting the malicious software used in the breach, called Mozart, appears to have been designed specifically for the home improvement retailer. Here now with more on this malware is the CEO of Fortalice Solutions and the former White House Chief Information Officer, Theresa Payton. Also joining us, Michael Brumer, Vice President of Experian's Data Breach Resolution Group. Thank you both for joining us. Theresa, let me begin with you. You say that all retailers should regularly employ someone to try and hack their system. Is that done on a regular basis, do you think? We know the government does it, but do retailers do that?
Well, if they don't, they absolutely should. I mean, we do know companies that have white hat hackers, those ethical hackers, come in and hack them. Our recommendation is, especially for the retail industry, to look at moving to a once a month or at least once a quarter hacking. What we're seeing is companies are doing it once a year and then not looking at it again for another year. And those white hat hackers can make a huge difference in pointing out vulnerabilities.
And Theresa, should we assume that a breach is going to happen regardless of how secure someone believes their system is?
You bring up an excellent point. I always say technology, every piece of technology is hackable, which means a breach is inevitable. But companies don't need to throw their hands up and say this is hopeless. There are some creative, different approaches that they can take to protect themselves from cyber criminals.
With that in mind, Michael, what are the biggest mistakes you believe the companies, businesses out there make when it comes to protecting customers' information?
Well, as you said earlier, everybody needs to expect that a breach is going to happen, and the key to it is having a data breach response plan in place. A recent study that we did with the Ponemon Institute indicated that 73% of executives have a plan in place, which is up about 12% from last year, and that's the best defense to have in place before an event occurs.
Michael, you know, it seems to me that as a consumer, if your information is stolen, it seems like it's incumbent on you to try and prove to everyone, hey, I'm not the one that bought these goods, I'm not the one responsible for this. What can consumers do, Michael, well, if they can't prevent it, what should they do immediately they suspect that something or someone has stolen their information?
Well, the most important part about being prepared as an individual is that if the organization that lost your data offers free identity theft protection services, they should take advantage of that so they can be alerted to something that's going on, or in the case, the average time to detection of a breach is about 4.6 months. So they also need to have a way of looking back so that their identity can be restored to pre-event status.
Theresa, in the case of Home Depot, there was reports that they said they felt a little overwhelmed, understaffed when it came to trying to protect their systems. I would imagine, is that pretty much the case? No matter how big the company, it's very difficult to stop this information from being hacked.
You know, every company and every organization that we talk to says the same thing. There's a war for talent. There are not enough cybersecurity engineers to go around. And so most companies do feel understaffed. And that's why they've got to get creative and think differently. So, for example, you know, right on the heels of this, we're also talking about Jimmy John's having an issue. And they said, well, we think it's stolen credentials. Well, one thing companies should be doing is every 30 days, make the credentials to the point of sale terminals expire and have new ones. So that way, if a breach occurs, you only have about 29 days until you're going to reset it again and you can lock the cyber criminals out.
And Michael, finally to you, it seems like these cases, whether we're just focusing on them more, but they seem to be happening more and more. Why is that? Are these systems so easily hacked that there are more hackers out there?
Well, the malware and the hackers make the headlines, Ashley. But 80% of all the breaches that we have and we service are due to employee negligence. So security and privacy training that's job specific on a regular basis is the most important thing that organizations can do.
And very quickly, Michael, how much of a threat is it of an inside job in these cases?
Well, insider threats, according to the surveys, is less than 10% of all causes. But what's happening now is you've got to be careful that employees have that security and privacy training to get ahead of it.
Very good. Theresa and Michael, great information. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A Fox Business alert for you now. U.S. Bank is refunding $48 million to its customers. This is the result of a federal settlement with the CFPB over improper billing. About 420,000 customers can expect to receive some retribution after signing up for credit monitoring products that they never got. In addition, U.S. Bank will have to pay a $9 million fine to the CFPB and Treasury. U.S. Bank, by the way, the 6th largest bank by assets. And coming up later in the show, what auto loan companies are doing now to make you pay your bills. And next, the answer, the question to how do you do that with the advice on